Someone once told me that their favorite quote of mine was no. But I am much more than a woman on a bus who said no to the unfair laws of white men. I am Rosa Parks, and I have done much more than a lot of people know me for. I was born on February 4th, 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama. I had a mom and a younger brother, and my father was never really in the picture. He liked to travel, and my mom wanted to settle down with my grandparents, so they later got a divorce. My grandmother got sick whenever I was at the age of 16, so I dropped out of high school, although she protested many times. But I later came back to graduate from Alabama State College for Negroes. And it wasn't hard for me to be taught by white people because I had two white friends who were old ladies, and they used to take me fishing all the time. And I would learn that I could be treated like any other person. I, Rosa Parks, should be inducted into the World Hall of Fame because I refuse to abide to the unfair laws of white men. I saved 9 black boys accused of rape, and I stood up for African American as well as women's rights. It was December 1st, 1955, and I was tired from a day of work. I went onto the bus and I sat down next to a black man, and across from me were 2 African American ladies. And a former bus driver of mine named Blake came onto the bus a few stops down. And he demanded our seats because, you see, at the time, the white people got to tell the black people to get up from their seats if they wanted them or if there were no more seats on the bus. And they didn't want to sit by anyone. So whenever he was telling us to get up, he was telling the person next to me and the 2 ladies across from me. Everyone got up except me. And he asked me again. He said, "Are you going to get up?" And I said no. And when I said no, I was arrested. But I was saying no to the unfair laws of white men, the lynchings, and the unfair sufferings, because no one deserves to go through that. Another time when I was younger and I stood up to white men, I was with my younger brother and with my friends, and we were in the woods and we were passing by a creek that we went to all the time, and a crowd of white boys threatened to throw my brother into the creek. And I said, if you're going to try to throw my brother into the creek, you're going to have to throw me too. I didn't realize the significance of what I was doing right then, but I later got in trouble for my parents when they were explaining to me that what I did was not normal and it was not right. And I asked them, why was it not right and why was it not normal? And they said because of the color of our skin, we could not do certain things. But another time when I was younger and I was with my brother again and my friends, which probably, now that I'm thinking about it, isn't the greatest scenario. But we were walking on the sidewalk, minding our own business, and here came a guy on roller skates. And he was skating past us, and he pushed into me. On purpose, obviously. He put his hands out and pushed me. And I pushed him back, and he fell over, and I kept walking. He later came back with his mom, because this boy went to my school, so he obviously knew who I was. And his mom threatened to have me arrested. And I said I wasn't doing anything wrong. And surprised by my response, she backed off. And I learned that no matter the situation, I could change it. It's not that hard. What is the point of thinking but not doing? If it is something that can change the world or something that can even change a situation, why would you keep those thoughts to yourself? When you're posed with the question of who is Rosa Parks, many people would say the lady who did not give up her seat to the white men. But I had many other achievements. I won 5 different medals. 1 for acting, even though I did not act in, but they still gave it to me. I won the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Congressional Gold Medal Award, the Spring Guard Medal, and another medal that was actually for association that we'll talk about soon. And I'll tell you about that. But I also saved 9 black boys accused of raping 2 white women on a train. These black boys were taken into court with little evidence at all. Actually, there was no evidence other than the testimonies of the white women. You see, these women, they were white, and these 9 black boys were from the age of 12 to 22, and they were accused of raping them because of what the girls had said. And I thought this wasn't right, and actually Albert Einstein helped with this case also. The only boy not sentenced to a death sentence was Roy Wright, and he was the 12-year-old. Everybody else was sentenced to be put to death for a crime they did not commit. Over the span of 10 years, me and a team of people would gather at night, and we would always have a guard posted, because Lord knows if someone caught us, we would be killed. But, of course, we had the guards, so we were fine. And actually, my husband proposed to me during one of these meetings after trying, and me saying no because I wasn't ready. But I finally said yes, and it was awkward, but it was definitely worth it because we would live till the day he died. I mean, not live, we would be together till the day he died. Anyways, over the span of 10 years, the boys would be in and out of court, even though they were continuously proved to be innocent. The jury would make them come back because the white women were not satisfied by what had happened, so they made them come back. And they ended up coming out free when the jury could no longer bring them back after a span of 10 years, and they had served in jail the whole time because they would not let them out of jail. But we did end up freeing them from a death sentence and also a life in jail for Roy Wright. The more I began to fight for these boys, I realized that there's so much to fight for in the world, and why would we stop here? On December 5th, 1955, 4 days after my arrest, me and Martin Luther King made a bus boycott. The bus boycott was to keep any African Americans off the buses, because at that time, the buses were heavily populated with African Americans. Since we could not afford cars or luxury things like that, we had to take the buses, either that or walk, and the buses were much more convenient. So when we stopped riding the buses, almost all of the African Americans around Montgomery, which is where this happened, we tremendously took down their sales and their money. So they ended up changing their policies, which was a huge success for us. And it was a pleasure meeting Martin Luther King Jr. He is a great man, and he taught me to fight through the heart and not through anger. And my mother gave me the strength to do this because she used to tell me that I was worth so much as a person, and I was worth just as much as everyone else. And I believed her, and this helped me through what I did today and the courage that happened. In April 1965, I joined a committee with 1,000 people. This committee worked to improve race relationships among all the different races, and it taught me. And whenever I was at the age of 42, I forgot about color, and I realized that color is only something we see on the outside. It's not something that really matters. And I began to fight for African American rights through this, and more races like Japanese and also religions, and I also got to women's right through this. Yes, I did say no on December 1st, 1955, but I also did more. As you can see, I did a lot more. I also learned that my enemies are not defined by the color of the skin, but by the character of the person. But when I was 81 years old, I was attacked in my apartment by a black man named Skipper, and he was a drug addict. And he came into my house when I heard a jiggling on the door. So I went down from my bedroom downstairs, and he was in my house. And he said that he had just saved me from a man who was trying to rob me. Now, to this, I was very skeptical, but I said I would get him money because he requested money for his services. So I went upstairs, and he followed me. And when I hesitated to give him the money from my purse, he repeatedly hit me over and over again. And I finally screamed, "Stop, stop, just take it all." He hit me one last time and took my money and left. And there I would lay until my neighbors reported it to the police because they heard what had happened, and they were reporting it actually as it was happening. And I would be rushed to the emergency care. But my story did not start there, and after that, that just made me realize that I cannot be prejudiced against color, or I would be a hypocrite, because things happen to everyone. So I kept my story going, and I ended up dying at the age of 92, and I would be 103 right now. I died in 2005, and I lived from 1913 to 2005, and I changed the world as we know it forever. So I should be inducted into the World Hall of Fame because I refused to abide to the unfair laws of white men. I saved 9 black boys accused of rape, and I fought for African American rights as well as women's rights. Thank you guys, and please induct me, Rosa Parks, into the World Hall of Fame. I just want to say really quick, this isn't part of the speech, but I did make this longer because I explained a little bit more. The actual presentation was supposed to be 5 minutes and 30 seconds at the most. I turned this into like 10 minutes, but I wanted to tell her life story, so that's why it's longer. Goodbye, guys. I love you. Induct me, Rosa Parks, into the World Hall of Fame.